Hello and welcome to the Xiong and Klaw Geek Out podcast. I'm Klaw.
And I'm Xiong.
And today we're going to be talking about conspiracy theories.
Cue X-Files music. So the way we're going to do this is I've chosen two of my favourite conspiracies, and I'm going to just list the facts of what apparently happened to make it a conspiracy. If it's truth or false is neither here or there.
Okay.
And then at the end we're going to I have some mini conspiracies that I will read the conspiracy out, and hopefully I will not name the person or what it involves for you to guess who it's about.
Right, okay, makes sense.
Like I said, I'll try and not to name and mess up on that one, but we'll see how it goes.
Okay, I am ready and waiting for my 0 out of 10 score at the end.
So the first conspiracy that I've always loved, and I'm quite disappointed when I started researching it properly about how it actually happened, came about, but obviously it's the Roswell Ufo Incident.
Which I think everyone knows about. There's 1,000,001 TV shows based on it.
Yep, I mean, the two conspiracies I've picked, the main ones, everyone knows about. Everyone knows the conspiracies. If it happened or not is up to anyone to believe. It's just that I've gone through research and picked out what has led to this incident happening and how it got as big as it has.
Yep.
And with this one, I'm very disappointed. It's not as, oh my god, as you think it is.
So it's all been blown out of the water then?
Basically, yeah.
Okay.
Roswell UFO Incident. The sequence of events started in July 1947 by the crash of a military balloon near Roswell.
Yeah.
The balloon had been launched from an airfield a month earlier, and it was carrying a radar reflector and a classified project, sensors for experimenting Soviet nuclear testing. So pretty normal standard at the moment, you know.
I mean, just after the end of World War II, yeah, you know, so to be expected.
Yeah. William Brazel was a foreman working on a JB Forest ranch when he noticed clusters of debris approximately 30 miles north from Roswell, New Mexico. He told the Roswell Daily Record that he and his son saw a large area of bright wreckage made of rubber, strips, tinfoil, or rather tough paper and sticks. He paid little attention but returned later with his son, wife and daughter to gather up the materials. So if anyone knows what actually this balloon, air quotes, was made out of, that's what he found.
Yeah.
Okay? So nothing out of the ordinary at the moment, just, you know.
I was going to say, even from that description, it doesn't sound particularly alien in origin, does it?
The next day, William read in the paper that there were flying discs and wondered if that was what he all picked up.
So there was already rumours of flying saucers and UFOs.
Yeah, where this story came from, it never said, it just said it was in the paper that people saw flying saucers, and that was about it. So obviously he's put two and two together and got 24 or whatever, and started believing that the debris he picked up were part of these flying discs in the sky.
Yeah, and I suppose it's entirely possible that some of the UFO sightings were seeing said balloon floating across the sky.
Exactly. The military tried to cover up the real reason the balloon was nuclear testing monitoring. They confirmed it was a weather balloon, and the story was dropped. So basically, they told the public it was a weather balloon to cover up what they were actually doing with looking out for nuclear warfare or whatever, and said it was a weather balloon, and literally the story was dropped the next day. That's basically, there is more to it, but basically that's the whole incident wrapped up in a nutshell.
Okay.
That was the disappointing part. I was expecting it to go into depth and it go on for months, but no, literally the military came in and said, no, it was a weather balloon. End of. It wasn't until between 1978 to 1994 that there was growth interest in the Roswell crash.
So, before the 70s, did people know it was anything other than a weather balloon?
According to my research, no, they literally believed what the military told them. They said it was a balloon. I do believe Brazel did try to convince that he had bits of the UFO, but it wasn't very much information. It was just that he kept on going to like different reporters and reporting what he's found, but I don't think anything came of it. It was just
so
bypassed.
I suppose the conspiracy ended up being that they lied about it being a weather balloon, which is probably where people got interested in it later, as they're probably like, well, that still sounds a bit fishy once you got further away from the fact.
Yeah, when I was doing looking into it more, I think it's the fact that it depends what you believe. It could be that they basically lied about what the balloon was actually for, with saying it's a weather balloon, or they've lied upon a lie to lie about what they were actually doing, or what it actually was. But this is what I'm saying, it's everyone's opinion of what actually happened.
Yeah. I mean, the way the materials were described as being, wood and cloth and stuff like that, it's like,
Yeah.
I think it's a bit of a stretch to even think that anyone could then still believe it was a alien origin thing rather than more of a government local conspiracy.
UFO researchers obtained hundreds of documentation through the Freedom of Information Act. Their conclusions were that at least one alien spaceship crashed near Roswell, alien bodies had been recovered, and a government cover-up of the incident had taken place. And I think this is where the fuel hits the fire. So like you said, if people are already suspecting UFOs and flying saucers, then these people have apparently got hold of this documentation that outright states, yeah, there was a crash, yeah, there were alien bodies. They're just adding fuel to the fire. Which if the military are trying to hide the fact that this actually happened, and they knew about this Freedom of Information Act, they're not really going to write it down and hand it to people.
No, so it could still be a cover-up of a cover-up.
Of a cover-up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I guess it's possible that they could have deliberately crashed the surveillance balloon to draw away from the real crash incident.
Yeah. In 1978, a nuclear physicist and author Stanton Friedman interviewed Jesse McClaw, sorry if I pronounce all these names wrong, the only person known to have occupied the Roswell debris from where it was recovered, to Fort Worth, where reports saw materials that was claimed to be part of the recovery object. The accounts given by Freedom and others in the following years elevated Roswell from a forgotten incident to perhaps the most famous UFO case of all time. So this is when people from the local airbase or base where they took the UFO, this is when people started coming forward and stating, yes, there were debris of a spaceship, yes, there were bodies.
Okay. So it's quite interesting then. So the crash of the weather balloon, in air quotes, could have been a cover-up in many ways. Give something to go in the press that they can then debunk quite easily.
Yep.
But also the fact that then they had to transport the debris of that to the base. They could have then merged the two sets of debris, so that, people weren't suspicious of trucks driving in and out with random crap.
Between 1994 and 1997, in response to reports and after United States Congress inquiries, the General Accounting Office launched an inquiry and directed the Office of United States Security of the Air Force to conduct an internal investigation. The results were in two parts. So the fact that all this is going on, and then they've decided, you know what, we need to investigate, actually do an internal affair here, basically. Their first part concluded that the material recovered from 1947 was likely debris from the project and the, air quotes, weather balloon. The second part, the, air quotes, alien bodies that were recovered turned out to be likely a combination of innocent transformed memories of accidents involving military casualties with memories of recovery in military programs such as the 1950s Operation High Drive, mixed with hoaxes presented by various witnesses and the UFO proponents. So basically what they're saying there is, first off, there was no UFO, it was a weather balloon basically.
Yeah.
And secondly, these alien bodies that people are reporting who were at the base, they're saying they're basically suffering from traumatic stress, basically from another project, and their memories are foggy. Plus, all these rumours about alien bodies and everything, their memories are mixed up, and they're just going off with the new memory rather than the actual memory that happened.
Yeah, because I suppose you could pass it off as if there was a experiment went wrong that, burnt somebody alive, that, their body would be shriveled and blackened, and you wouldn't necessarily be able to recognise it immediately as a human body and things like that.
I mean, so far with the conspiracy, it ended very quickly, the incident, and then you can kind of see why it picked up as much sort of interest as it did. You had, if you want to call it, an investigation by the government, and then they're just blaming it off with people saying that, they've got memory issue, there's something mentally wrong with them, the fact that they've made up new memories, which I know there is an actual thing for it, where people have experienced stuff in the past, and when new stuff happens, their memories, it's as if their brain's trying to help, whoa, hang on, you can't remember that memory, so they kind of
it fills in the gaps. But at the same time, you can see how then conspiracy nuts will be like, oh yeah, well of course the government's going to say that, exactly, aren't they?
So in 1995, a film footage, I think we're all aware of this, of the alien autopsy got released.
Yes.
This was released by Ray Stantill, a London-based video entrepreneur. The footage caused an international sensation when it aired on television networks around the world. But here's the kicker. In 2006, he admitted the film was mostly reconstruction, but continued to claim it was based on genuine footage now lost and some of the original frames that have been supposedly survived. So to me, that sounds like this is the thing about the cover-up situation again. Was that the real footage and then he was threatened and they found out who released it? Or is it a case of he saw something that looked like an alien and basically made it all up, and then now he's like, shit, yeah, I made that all up?
Yeah, I guess that's one of the things with any conspiracy theories, is they can live on infinitum because it's always one person's word over somebody else's.
Oh, yeah.
So, even when you've got these big government investigations, there's so many true examples of government cover-ups that you can never be sure, what is a true investigation held by a later government. Because again, I think that's the thing we now have in the world is, whereas, in the past you'd have a king or a queen who would last for decades and decades and decades, and then you'd never have an opportunity to investigate stuff.
Yeah.
Now we have, 4, 5, 6 year terms of governments that then entirely new sets of people come in, and sometimes they generally do want to unveil what the previous administration did, and other times they find out what the previous administration did and then go, oh yeah, no, we probably do need to keep that one secret still.
Talking about government, October the 26th, 2007, Bill Richards was asked about releasing government files on Roswell. Richardson responded when he was a congressman. He attempted to get information on behalf of his New Mexican constituents, but was told by both the Department of Defense and Los Alamos labs that the information was classified. So, if it was a weather balloon, why is it classified?
But again, it could simply be that if it was the whole, nuclear detection spying type thing, then that would also be classified. Although I thought most of the Cold War stuff had been at least loosely declassified in some way or another at this point.
Which leads on to October 2002. Before airing its Roswell documentary, the Sci-Fi Channel hosted a Washington UFO news conference. John Pedster, President Clinton's chief of staff, appeared as a member of the public relations firm hired by the sci-fi to help get the government to open up the documents on the subject. Which, that's all it said. It never stated if he did he name drop or anything. It just literally, that's what they did. I'm presuming they gave him either a fake file or some fake information, or he stuck to the claim of it was nothing but a weather balloon.
Yeah. Again, it's one of those things, it's always damned if you do, damned if you don't. Yeah. Because if nothing's found, then everyone's like, oh, we didn't find anything, and like, move on. But again, it's like, anyone who's got suspicions is going to be like, really? You found nothing? Yeah. Really?
During a 2015 interview with GQ magazine about whether he had looked at the top secret classified information, President Barack Obama replied, "I gotta tell you, it's a little disappointing. People always ask me about the Roswell and the aliens and the UFOs, and it turns out the stuff going on that's top secret isn't nearly as exciting as you expect. In this day and age, it's not as top secret as you think." So, was that Obama trying to dismiss that there is no conspiracy and there is no crash, or was he hinting that there is, and it ain't top secret because you all know about it? That's the way I took it. Or he is just dismissing it completely and saying, look, what you think is top secret is not top secret.
Yeah. But again, it can always swing the other way, that what he does know is so horrific and scary that even post being in the chair, he's just like, no, I can't.
I
can't let anyone know about that.
American journalist Anna Jacobson, Area 51, an uncensored history of America's top secret military base, 2011, alleged based on interviews with scientists and engineers who worked in Area 51, dismissed the alien story. Jacobson quotes one unnamed source as claiming that a German officer and a physician in Auschwitz was recruited by the Soviet leader to produce child-size avatars. So in other words, those alien bodies people are thinking they've seen weren't actually alien bodies, they were child-size avatars.
As in they were making life model decoys?
Yeah. According to Jacobson's narrative, the aircraft crashed, the incident was hushed up by the Americans, and the bodies found at the crash site were children around 12 years old with a large head, abnormal shaped oversized eyes described as human guinea pigs. The book was criticised for extensive errors by scientists from the Federation of American Scientists.
Yeah, again, I mean, that sounds very much like somebody trying to explain a way that an alien body isn't an alien body.
And to sum it all up, I know there was a lot of information there, but that is like where the conspiracy ends. Obviously, it can go on and on and on about books, videos, DVDs, TV programs, but they were like the main core factors of the conspiracy, which, like I said, is quite disappointing, because I remember watching a VHS of the Roswell crash, and there were people getting interviewed where they've heard from their great-great-grandparents or a lady they're looking after in care, and on their deathbeds they've admitted they were at the Roswell crashes, and the military told them to keep their mouth shut or they'll kill everyone and they'll burn everything. And and so when I looked into this, I thought I'm going to get some juicy bits. There was nothing there. I know it's probably, I didn't just look at one website, I looked at multiple websites.
Yeah. And
they were all basically saying the same thing, which could, again, add up to the whole conspiracy of it all, that the fact that the government are saying, like, you cannot put this on, or they've gone to the website and gone, right, if you write anything that is not outlined here, we'll come after you. Who knows,
Yeah.
But
I think that's what puts fuel to the fire, is that it is the... is it a really deep cover-up that everyone's playing along with? Or is it literally there's just nothing to...
It could have started off with a conspiracy, but it could be the fact that because we know it's real and aliens do exist, the fact that they push out, like, Independence Day and alien films, and when I say alien films, I don't mean the alien film, I just mean alien films in general, and the fact that they've let this conspiracy go on and on. So if we ever did get visited, we'd be kind of numb to it.
Yeah, well, I think that was a lot of when there was all the conspiracy going around about the whole COVID situation and, was it a deliberate released virus and all this kind of thing, and people started pointing at books and films and all these things that have desensitized the population to the concept of a killer virus and a killer weaponized virus and things like that. So I think that's it's a valid train of thought. Again, you can never know which is true. I think it's all examples of the whole, philosophical thing around what the chicken and the egg debate is like trying to represent within the human mind of, you can never truly know whether or not one came before the other deliberately, or, are you now piecing together facts from the past to explain a present day situation?
Oh yeah, totally agree.
Do you believe in aliens?
Yes.
Do you believe we've been visited by aliens?
Yes.
Okay. Well, that's an episode for another day.
Yep. The second conspiracy is to do with space again. It's about the moon landing.
Okay.
The moon landing, we'll kick it off. I don't believe it never happened. It never happened.
Really? You see, I'm in the camp of why would you fake it?
So the moon landing conspiracies claim that some of all elements of the Apollo program and the associated moon landings were hoaxes staged by the NASA. So I was going to actually read out NASA then. The most notable claim is the 6 crew landing 1969 to 1972 were faked, and that the 12 Apollo astronauts did not actually walk on the moon. In the mid-1970s, NASA and others knowledgeably misled the public into believing the landings happened by manufacturing, tampering with, or destroying evidence including photos, telegram tapes, radio and TV transmissions, and moon rock samples.
Okay.
This can be traced back to the book We Never Went to the Moon, Americans' $13 billion swindle. A former US Navy officer with a Bachelor of Arts in English, allegations in Crasing's book officially began discussing of the moon landings being faked. So basically, nothing, from what I gathered from the information, was nothing was said that they were fake until this book came out, and then somebody thought, oh, I'm going to jump on the bandwagon here, and started.
So somebody with an English degree wrote a book.
Yeah.
I mean, there'll be somebody who's very good with words, so it could just purely be, I can sell a good book here.
And I think the fact that he used to be a US Navy officer probably gave him a bit of, not knowledge about astronauts, but sort of the
inner workings and all the rest of it, yeah.
The book claims that the chance of a successful crew landing on the moon was calculated to be 0.0017%.
So wait a minute, this is our English major calculating the odds of a successful rocket mission. Right,
yep.
Okay.
And that despite close monitoring by the USSR, it would have been easier for NASA to fake the moon landing than to really go there. In 1980, the Flat Earth Society accused NASA of faking the landing, arguing that they were staged by Hollywood with Walt Disney sponsorship based on a script of Arthur C. Clarke and directed by Stanley Kubrick.
I mean, I think the issues I have with that is that the people they're quoting there are almost too obvious.
Yeah.
They've literally gone, who's known for creating fanciful things? Disney. Who's known for their outlandish cinematography? Oh, Kubrick. Who's most famous for writing science fiction? Oh, Arthur C. Clarke. I mean, was Arthur C. Clarke even still alive at that point?
I don't know. It was a script that was by him. It did talk about a film he made that apparently this is where they took the footage from. I started laughing when I was reading this, when I was reading about the Hollywood staging by Hollywood, and when I saw Walt Disney, I had to stop and I was laughing with tears for quite a while. I mean, I don't believe we've been to the moon, but I would have never thought Walt Disney or anybody else from Hollywood be involved in any way at all, but
Yeah, I'm suspicious.
See,
of that one.
I picture it like, have you seen the episode of Family Guy where Neil Armstrong, like, they fake the moon landing and he goes out to have a fag and someone goes, "Oh my god, you're Neil Armstrong," and he goes, "Yeah, I am." He goes, "Shouldn't you be on the moon?" And then he like beats the shit out of him, kills him, and shoves him in the boot. That's the I'm not saying that he did that, but that's the kind of thing I think of. It was just like some back alley factory they were in. Oh, look, I'm on the moon. But
Yeah, just to correct myself quickly, Arthur C. Clarke was very much alive and clicking at this time.
There we go. So these are some more reasons why people think it was a conspiracy. So, a space race. Motivation for the United States to engage with the Soviet Union in a space race can be traced to the ongoing Cold War. Landing on the moon was viewed as a national and technological accomplishment that would generate worldwide acclaim, but going to the moon would be risky and expensive, as exemplified by President J.F. Kennedy famously stating in a 1962 speech that the United States chose to go because it was hard.
Oh yeah, I mean the whole thing was just about proving a point. They weren't getting anything out of going to the moon. They may have vaguely had some ideas of, maybe we can use it in the future, but ultimately it was, we want to go because we can.
The second one is NASA funding. To avoid humiliation and to ensure that it continued to get funding, NASA raised about $30 billion to go to the moon, and King claimed in his book that this could have been used to pay off many people. Landings had been faked to fulfill Kennedy's 1961 goal before this decade is out of landing a man on the moon and returning him safely to Earth. In fact, NASA accounted for the cost of Apollo to the US Congress in 1973, totaling at $25.4 billion. So, just to clarify, when I said about NASA paying off people, because they couldn't build, they could build, but because of, if all these stuff is true, that they couldn't send anyone to the moon and they're in a space race and they knew they couldn't do it. When they say pay off, it stated that they actually bribed, with all this money they had, bribed people to help them cover it all up.
Yeah, I think my first issue with all of that is that people saw the rocket's launch. Yeah. And the expensive part is building the rocket and getting the rocket to take off from the ground. I mean, yeah, they may have saved some money if... But again, it's like, the guys did then come back to Earth in the capsule. So they built everything, even if it had slightly less fuel in it, because it wasn't actually going up to the moon, it was just orbiting the Earth and coming back down again.
When you do look at it in that kind of sense, why would you have all this money, build everything with that money, and then go, we went, and you never did? It doesn't make sense.
No.
Because you're not getting anything from it, apart from making the USA the first ones on the moon. But what's that actually going to achieve?
It did accelerate space rocket development and led to getting more satellites out there, getting people out to space stations or out to repair satellites. So even if they never actually went to the moon, a lot of the research and what they had to do as part of it, launch a rocket up there in the first place, it could have, I guess, as you're saying, it's not, I think swindles may be a bit harsh, but, maybe they were struggling with the whole, we can put all these satellites into the atmosphere and all this, and people were like, yeah, whatever. And they're like, we could go to the moon, wink, wink, nudge, nudge. Yeah. Just to get the money to fund, and we're so reliant on, a lot of technology that originates from those times.
So there's pictures and videos with a lot of evidence within them that show that the landing was a hoax. From not seeing stars, to face looking at the sun, to footprints on the surface and the flag waving in the wind. I looked up the stars one, and they go very technical with what they're saying. But basically what they're saying is, because they were in space, the pictures they took, you don't see any stars. Whereas people believe that you should see stars, because especially you should see more stars. because you're in space.
The problem is you're talking about older cameras and older technologies. You're in an environment, because a lot of the time they were taken when they were in sunlight. So obviously you don't have the atmosphere like we have to block out the sun. Block out the stars rather. But you've got this big white rock surface, well, light grey rock surface that's reflecting so much light that, you know, the contrast of the camera won't pick out the stars.
I will admit, I can't explain that one either, so I'm not like debunking I'm not debunking the stars thing. I'm just like, yeah. And the last piece, well, I've got two more pieces, but this is the last piece, was missing data. Blueprint and design and development drawings of the machines involved are missing. Apollo 11 data tapes containing telemetry and the high quality video before scan conversion from slow scan TV to standard TV of the first moonwalk are also missing.
I mean, is that because the little green man popped his head up during the process? There are other conspiracies that can explain these things.
So ends the moon landing one, which I was surprised with this one. I'm sure I watched this episode, but I can't remember. Mythbusters special. An episode of Mythbusters. If you don't know what Mythbusters is, it's a group of people who take myths throughout history and see if they could have happened or not. They either prove that they did, didn't, or they may have done. Okay? So in August 2018, they were dedicated to the moon landings. The Mythbusters crew tested many of the conspiracy claims. Some of them testing were done in NASA training facility. All the conspiracies claims examined on the show were labelled as having been busted, meaning that the conspiracists' claims were not true.
So we did go to the moon.
So, the fact that they went to NASA themselves to do all this, which they would have to because it's all about space and they need to go somewhere professionally about space, could also explain it's more of a cover-up.
It could do. I mean, I guess maybe they'd have actually come out and admitted to this if it was true. But who's to say they didn't create a set to look like the moon with a mock-up of the landing module and all the rest of it for the astronauts to then practice those opening moments, knowing that it was such a monumentous occasion that they didn't want, you know, Armstrong to step off the thing, do his little hop and then be like, well, I'm here then.
Yeah.
You know, maybe they actually like gave them the opportunity to practice that on a set somewhere.
With saying that, I did read that a lot of people think he just came up with that, but that's what NASA told him to say when he landed.
Oh, almost certainly.
Yeah. And the reason I don't believe we went is what adds to my opinion is the fact if we've been to the moon, why have we never gone back?
Because there's literally no point in it.
Yeah, but you said we went to the moon for a reason. We've never gone back. I mean, if they want, you know, they could have. If I know there's nothing there, but they could have set up a base there or something or whatever. No, they just stuck some flags in and.
I think if they found that the rocks were literally just fairly mundane material, and they didn't, if the samples didn't find any useful, substances like diamond or gold or anything like that, then why go back?
Or did we go? We found something that we shouldn't have found, and we never went back.
Or even another possibility is we have gone back, but the reasons why we're going back is secret, so they don't admit to going back.
It's because they're making the Death Star.
But again, so one I can't remember, which I don't know if it came up in your research, is did Russia or the Chinese ever claim to make it? Then they would have been in a position to see if the flag was there, etc. And they would have taken great pleasure in saying that nothing was there.
Well, you saying that, apparently there is pictures of, I don't know, flying past ships or whatever. But there's meant to be 6 flags or something. They can only see so many. I can't remember. The writing for the moon landing goes really in depth that sometimes you start to get confused. Who's who? Why is this name mentioned? And they talk about the 6 astronauts' flags, only 5 of them are visible. It did go on about how people have like enlarged photos and you can't see this 6th flag at all, which adds fuel to the fire that the sixth flag that's missing is Neil Armstrong's flag.
So you're perfectly accepting that after Apollo 11,
Oh no,
we did land on the moon.
no, I don't.
But you realise that there are telescopes now that can see the surface of the moon quite clearly. So people being able to see these flags is quite easy.
Well, if you buy me one, or get me to someone who has one, and I see it for myself. Otherwise, to me, that's just, someone saying, "Oh, look, they're the flags." So they were the 2 main conspiracies that, like I said, I find interesting, and I do. Do I still find them interesting? Perhaps not as much. So next, we've got mini conspiracies. I have got information on them, but they don't go into as depth as I did with the other 2. So the first one we're going to do is Stephen King killed John Lennon. So,
sure.
Yeah. So according to John Lightfoot website, Lennon Murdered Truth, Lightfoot claims that there are government codes hidden in the headlines for Time, Newsweek and the US News and World Report, which reveals Stephen King as the real killer of John Lennon.
Okay, I have many questions on this.
Yes, so do I. The only part of it I could go, oh, yeah, that looks like him, is a picture of Lennon signing an autograph, and a picture was taken with the real killer behind him. When you get a picture of King in that year and put it side by side, yeah, it does look like a very young Stephen King. Do I think Stephen King killed him? No.
Well, I mean, my first question is, why would you, A, cover that up, and B, then put coded messages into headlines to tell the truth? It just doesn't make any sense.
No idea. Maybe it's some guy who got a grudge against Stephen King for some reason.
Oh, dear.
The next one, obviously everyone knows this one, the John F. K. Kennedy assassination.
I mean, there's about 10 conspiracies around this, isn't
Yeah.
there?
So I've got some bullet points. So he was assassinated by gunshot while travelling in a motorcade in the open top limousine in Dallas, Texas, on a Friday, November the 22nd. Texas Governor John Connell was wounded, but he survived. Within 2 hours, Lee Harvey Oswald was arrested for killing Dallas policeman J.D. Tippett and arrested that evening. Shortly after 1:30 a.m. on Saturday, November the 23rd, Oswald was arraigned. On Sunday, On Saturday, November the 23rd, Oswald was arrested for murdering President Kennedy as well. On Sunday, November the 24th, a mafia-associated nightclub owner, Jack Ruby, fatally shot Oswald as he was being transferred from the city jail to the country jail. So, the president got shot and killed. The Texas governor was wounded. And then the only reason they arrested Oswald was because he killed a Dallas police officer. And then the next day he got basically charged with killing the president.
Yeah, but we all know it was Dave Lister from the Grassy Knoll.
So, and then all of a sudden a mafia-associated nightclubber shot Oswald.
Yeah.
It's the fact that they have to mention that he was a mafia club owner. It's like...
Well, I suppose the thing is that if they just said it was some random person, then that could have, that's likely to be, just somebody who was upset about the fact that he killed the president, so they took it upon themselves to kill him.
True.
So they're probably mentioning the mafia ties, because that then hints towards the idea that maybe he was killed so that he couldn't give away any other information about the assassination.
The next two I'll mention what it's about, then the next ones I will try and leave out names for you to guess. So Catcher in the Rye, which claims the book is a trigger for trained CIA sleeper assassins, still has, with 140 people searching for it monthly in the US.
People searching for it?
So I think they're trying to search for what the trigger is.
Oh, right, okay, so they're looking for what stands out in the text that might
to
be...
make it trigger.
I mean... why... You couldn't even guarantee that your sleeper agents would have any interest in reading Catcher in the Rye in the first place.
And the fact that there's 140 people who search for it each month, it's like, okay.
Yeah, no.
Well, they're going to... Well, for all we know, they found it. They could have just been by sleeper agent when they read it out. Do you know what I mean? Next one, Keanu Reeves is immortal, that his likeness has been captured in a painting and photographs throughout history.
Or he's just got one of those faces.
But then it's not just Reeves. There's I saw one of Jay-Z. There's one of Nicolas Cage. Okay, so the next one, I'm not going to mention the name.
Okay.
So I'll say blank when their name comes up. So blank, rumours stated to Circle that he had faked his demise due to the pressure of fame. He has since been spotted buying a fuse in Michigan at a Kalamazoo Burger King and has an extra in the background of the film Home Alone.
I mean, there's a few people that could be. I mean, in the back of Home Alone, so Elvis?
Yes. If I'm honest, I was reading it going, alright, and then when I read Home Alone, I was like, oh, hang on, I remember reading about this conspiracy about him being in the back of Home Alone.
That is truly rare. I mean, that is one of the biggest, did he really die, or did he just want to get out of the limelight?
Well, apparently he's with Walt Disney on Ice.
Do you mean as in the show Walt Disney on Ice, or do you mean he's cryogenically frozen like Walt Disney?
He's frozen like Walt Disney next to each other. So there's two blanks in here, but it's about the first blank. So blank and his sister blank are the same person based on the fact that they were never photographed together and they look like each other. Just to clarify, they have been photographed together. I found a picture of them together, but yeah. I will admit I have said that in the past that their sister looks very much like blank.
See, unfortunately, the first thing I go to is the White Stripes, but you see them together all the time. I'm really rubbish with celebrity. I mean, the other thing I think of is like the Olsen twins.
Nope.
You're going to tell me they're both a guy anyway? Olsen twins?
No, they're...
It's a guy and a girl, isn't it?
No, they're sisters.
Oh, they're sisters.
It's Mary-Kate and Ashley, who, the reason I looked at you weirdly was because they've done films together. They have a sister who just did Scarlet Witch. They've been photographed with her as well,
I don't know them.
Michael Jackson. And his sister was LaToya.
Oh, LaToya. I was going to say, because there's plenty of stuff with him with Janet.
Don't get me wrong. When you look at Janet, you can tell she's related. But when you do look at LaToya, you are like, did they go to the same plastic surgeon? Because it is very much same nose, same facial structure.
Yeah. I mean...
The next two are about movies, conspiracies. Nothing... Ooh, but... So this one, blank... MI6 recruit orphan boys who all have the same upbringing to make the perfect spy. So blank is always someone new. That was me summarising the conspiracy.
Sorry, say that again?
So MI6 recruit orphan boys who all have the same upbringing to make them the perfect spy. So blank is someone new each time.
I mean, James Bond isn't real, but is that what you're getting at?
Yeah, these are the film ones. Yeah,
oh, right, okay, gotcha.
So the conspiracy is that all these Bond films we watched, it's always the same person. It's always James Bond. That's his actual name. So every time you see a new reincarnation of him, that is still James Bond. But apparently the conspiracy is it's not, that the MI6 actually go into orphanages and make sure they pick out the same profile of boy. So upbringing and abuse and whatever it is, they always make sure they get the same MO constantly so they can make them into a perfect spy.
They could be right that some of the Bonds have been quite literally different people, but because George Lazenby left after one film, then Roger Moore was still the same Bond as Lazenby was, but both of them combined are a different Bond to Sean Connery.
Yeah. I mean, it could be the case if that conspiracy is true. You could say those two are the same Bond, but you just got to forget they look completely different. If that makes sense.
Yeah.
So yeah, the last one I got was, I don't know how. I'm not gonna say what it is, but you're going to guess right at the end when I say it. In episode 1, you can see an escape pod that is from 2021 Escape Odyssey. If this is correct, then blank takes place into the human's future. So why do we get a long time ago in a galaxy far, far away?
Obviously, we're talking about Star Wars, but, and this is where you have to start getting into proper Star Wars geekery, which I will admit I'm only on the fringes of. But if you then get into the comics and the cartoons and all the rest of it, there are storylines in there that talk about time travel and rifts between dimensions. So it's entirely possible that pod could have fallen through a wormhole. There's all manner of reasons why the pod could have fallen back in time and ended up there.
True. Obviously, because you can't see us because we're on a podcast, I did just close my eyes and roll them as soon as he mentioned Star Wars and time travel. Nothing against Klaw. It's just the fact that do not add time travel to Star Wars.
It's too late. It's already happened.
Yeah, but I don't read the comics of the book, so it's not happened for me. There are other conspiracies. Some of them were just really stupid. Like the film ones were like, oh, and I'm like, right, okay. To me, it wasn't a conspiracy. That's just someone making.
Oh yeah, I mean, a lot of the things when it comes to the fictional stuff, that's more just fans geeking out and coming up with really random fan theories, which again, I mean, could be a whole episode of itself.
And now it's time for the news. Netflix have just paid $468 million for the 2 Knives Out sequels, plus the rights to make a third if writer-director Rian Johnson signs on.
Outriders was released over the Easter weekend. It's proven to be a lot more popular than expected. However, this has come with the, all too familiar issues with connecting to servers and bugs and crashes and this kind of thing that we've come to know and love. But they are promises of fresh fixes over the coming weeks.
Netflix have also signed a streaming deal with Sony Films, so they get rights to Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse and several more films featuring Marvel characters, including future installments of Venom, Spider-Man, and the follow-ups to Jumanji and Bad Boys. This also includes the upcoming Tom Holland filmed Uncharted. So with that, this is the end of the episode. I hope you've enjoyed the conspiracies. I know there was a lot to take in for the first 2 and then just general ones. But if you have any other conspiracies you want us to look into or discuss on the podcast, by all means message us on the Facebook page or the Twitter page at Xiong Klaw or at Facebook at Xiong Klaw Geek Out, or email us at xiongklawgeekout@gmail.com.
So this is goodbye from me, Klaw.
And goodbye from me, Xiong.
And remember, the truth really is out there.